I've heard a lot about Mims, and I've had Tom Jensen on. He writes for SI with Jose and all those guys.
You shouldn't leave out
Really
Grant. All right.
great, yeah, all those guys.
Grant is
I gave him
considered
his
those
props
guys
when I
now.
was I gave him his props when earlier when I was saying something. But for Tom, he's been a big advocate of Mims. And from everything he's told me, I've been like, yeah, like that seems like a interesting guy to uh if lands with the 49ers, it would be lucky because I know he's projected somewhere in between like 20 and 26. Tom has even talked about maybe the 49ers trading up. I've been very like pro if there is a guy who they feel like is worth it to maybe trade up in the draft to get that guy. But then I was doing a little more of my own research because I'm terrible
You're
and
a little
and
psychotic when it
only
comes to research. Let's be honest. You have
yeah.
over research everything. I love it.
Yes. So he only played 8 games. Is it fair for me to say that Mims is kind of the Trey Lance of offensive lines? And I know he played for Georgia, but like I feel like a lot of him is like this big body, this potential, which is obviously amazing. But is there a player that potentially and maybe they wouldn't be able to get up this far depending on what they would want to, if they have their first and second round pick and they want to trade up. I don't know how far they could get. But is there a guy on that offensive line, or would you rather go for like Graham Barton? Because I think he might fall to where the 49ers are. Is there a guy who's actually played on that offensive line more than 8 games and you're betting like he's more of a sure thing? Because I feel like first round picks already are so hit and miss, and now you're trying to project onto 8 games. It just feels kind of dangerous to use your first round pick on a guy who's not like 100% a sure product. Is that unfair? Maybe I'm judging things wrong. Quarterback and offensive line might be different, but just when I hear how little games he's played, I'm kind of like, ooh, I'm a little scared to use, the first round pick that the 49ers have had in such a long time on a guy like that. Maybe if all these offensive linemen are projected to go so early, that might push back some other, positions that could be very valuable, and you might get better value because, they've been pushed down because everyone's taking the offensive lineman. I don't know. What are
I
you
think
thinking the 49ers are going to do
Did
with
you
that
watch
first
my
round
show
pick?
recently? Because I
I
said
watched all
that.
your shows. Oh, did I? Maybe
Yeah,
I
I
stole
said
your
that.
takes. Sometimes I just listen to things and then I repeat
No,
them.
but you probably didn't. To be honest with you guys, you probably didn't. It was a mock draft. You don't gotta lie. It's okay. I understand you're busy. Um, but I
Which
did
one
say
did
that.
I just listened a couple days ago. You were talking with Josh. Is that his name?
Oh, J Harp. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That one was
So
good.
I did. So I did say like similar. Like I don't see the Niners taking him or Guy in because of the limited reps and limited play. And
See, great
with
minds just think alike.
That's right. And then for Mims, it's one of those ones where he only has 8 starts, and it's all upside. Like when you watch him, there's a lot of upside. It's he athletic abilities there. It shows up on tape. He has function. He's very strong. He has the ability, the lateral and agility movements. But then when you watch him, he stops his feet during blocks. He's a two-handed puncher, which as an offensive lineman, you don't want to be a two-handed puncher because so offensive line, you don't want to be a two-handed puncher in a corner. You don't want to punch with 2 hands. Reason is the moment you punch with 2 hands, and if you're not hitting, your hips tighten up. She's over here shadow boxing, but your hips tighten up, and if you don't like land, you miss, and you're screwed. So that's an issue. So I'm not a huge fan of Mims. Now, if he hits his potential, he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber tackle. I just don't see um the Niners drafting him because of the injury, and it's a big injury concern. Like you look at Mims, like he hasn't been able to stay on the field. He hasn't been healthy. He didn't
That's what I'm saying. Like
participate
injury people for the 49ers.
because like even his soft tissue injuries. It's a hamstring issue that kept him out of playing. It kept him out from the combine. Same thing with Tyler Guyton. Like he hasn't played much. Like if I'm the Niners draft strategy wise, obviously they tried to sign restricted free agent Brock Wright at tight end. So they're addressing the tight end situation. Like
it feels like they're trying to get people like with the signing of Colton McKivitz, with them bringing all the defensive players in. It feels like they're trying to fill every position, even if they're like with middle class, like kind of more depth piece guys, so that they can go more BPA. Do you think that that's a fair assumption? Like it feels like they don't want to need to get any player.
Yeah, and then you could go BPA, which is obviously the best thing to do in the first couple of rounds, and then usually later rounds is when I say like, you know what, like you could take a guy you like, or you could take a position if you need, like you think, hey, he has potential. But I think you should always go best player available, even if it's, for example, if that player, for example, is quarterback. I know people are like, oh, that's stupid. Like it's stupid to think you could never have too many good quarterbacks, and you'd never know if he's the best player
Either
available.
A, he's
You
better
could,
than Brock Purdy, and then that's great because you have a player on a better player on a rookie deal, or B, he's really good, but Brock Purdy's still better, and then you can trade him and get crazy assets for him.
yeah. So there's a lot of things you could do. Again, I know people are like, oh, that's probably a stupid analysis, like
I've
or
heard
comparison.
cornerback. Have you
If
I've heard
corner
corner maybe.
falls, but so it has to be a guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold, or Quincy Mitchell. I think that's the first name. Could be wrong. Pretty sure it is, but it has to be one of those guys. Like, and if no one else really, I don't see anyone else in that first round at 31. Like when I'm looking at the draft, right? Like it's one of those ones when you're looking at. There's a lot of positions the Niners could go, and to be honest, if they do go best player available, people aren't gonna like it, but it's probably receiver. Like to be honest with you, um, so I'm really excited to.
Would that mean like bye-bye Debo next year? Or what would
I think
receiver
Debo's gone no matter what next year, no matter what. Like because you're not going to pay two receivers 20 plus million, and I think that's where Brandon Ayuk's contract should be 20 plus
Yeah.
million. Is obviously his cap hit won't be as big in year two, but I think like for example, the Niners, the players that could be there, for example, there's a couple of tackles from what I've been hearing. Kingsley, Jordan Morgan, heard Tyler Guyton might fall to the Niners. But you could also look at a defensive tackle, Darius Robinson. If Adonai Mitchell is there, I'm 100% taking Adonai Mitchell from Texas receiver. I think he would be the perfect complement to a guy like Brandon Ayuk. Great route runner, good speed. I just think it's the way the draft falls. I don't know how it's gonna fall. Um, a lot of teams might take a quarterback earlier than they should. For example, if Penix, Michael Penix Jr. enters the first round, like some people were saying he might, it's going to drop a really good player. And I think at 31, when I see people like, oh, you can't get a starter day one at 31. That's a false narrative because this class, you could take some. What's the difference if you take someone at 31 versus early round two, and they start? Like, if you're gonna get a high level player in the first 3 rounds, like that's what you're getting. You're getting the athletic ability in the first 3 rounds, and I think the Niners could go if he's there. I don't see how he is there, but Byron Murphy
Now,
Jr.
with the cornerback position, do you think that they're gonna want to extend Charvarius Ward, or do you think that they might let him walk? Because I think he's gonna be expensive. More expensive than when they got him, at least. Not just because like the cap goes up,
That's
but
a
because he's performed better. You
that's
know
a
what I mean?
great question. It's the first time I've heard it, and you're kind of right. Like the numbers have gone up for cornerback play.
Yeah.
He's made the Pro
He
Bowl.
outperformed like where
A
he was
lot
at
of
when they
corners.
drafted for him,
Um,
or traded for him.
man, they could actually look to see what. But the thing is with corner is there's only 3 corners that should be going in the first round. And some people argue Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri. I only see 3. I see Kool-Aid McKinstry, Quincy Mitchell, and I believe Terrion Arnold. A lot of people are high on Nate Wiggins, guys like Cooper DeJean, who I see as a safety. But a lot of people are higher on some other corners, but I just don't see those guys going in the first round. If you decide to go corner at 31, you could, I guess, not necessarily reach because if you're taking a guy who's projected to go 40 and the top 40 or at 41, when you take him at 31, I don't think it's a reach because you're not having to trade back up to get someone. So, hey, shout out to Good Company Cleaners LLC. Ashley needs a sponsor for the show. Hit her up in the on Twitter. Hit her up on social media. She needs a sponsor for the show. Get an advertisement on this show for Ashley, so
Let's
she can get an
go.
advertisement. So for me, there's a lot of things they could do. Like I truly think if they do go corner, I don't think it would be to replace Charvarius Ward. I think you should extend him. I really think
I
Charvarius
think
Ward in
so
the corner you
too.
should
I think that's a
extend.
good.
I would give.
I just don't. I have a question. Like with the way that these, because his contract up at the end of next year? Is that wrong?
I believe it is. Let me
So
double
are
check.
they able to like? Can he say I want to test free agency, or if they try to extend, like they extend him next, like is next year he's a free agent, or they can try to extend him before he hits free agency? Because
I believe he
I'm
has
afraid that
a.
he would get a higher bidder somewhere else potentially, not because the 49ers don't want him, but just because they are paying so many guys, and I do think he's like kind of played himself into a higher bracket, you know.
I think the only issue though is they may view his age being an issue because corners at around that 30 range they start to drop off.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
he is 29
How
this
old is he?
year,
Oh wow.
29.
I don't know why I thought he was
But
like 27.
I believe he has a. I thought he was 27 too. I thought yeah, he's 28. 20 gonna be 29 in a few days, in like 30 days. Um, but for him, I believe he has a 12 million, 12.9. I'm not too sure. I have to ask Rohan how the dead cap works in terms of on a void year because he 2025 to 2026 years it voids automatically
What
on the
does
fifth
that
day
mean?
of the 2025 season. So when you restructure someone or when you extend them, for example, when they signed him, I believe they had a couple of void years. So it's to spread the signing bonus and the guarantees across a couple of seasons. So I believe he has 2 million on void. I could be wrong. I have to like ask Rohan how that works. Rohan knows like the cap numbers better than me.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's gonna have dead cap. So it's like, do you want to have dead cap on your corner, or do you want to roll him, extend him, where you don't have a higher dead cap? So I don't know how that's gonna work.
And I think like right now, Ward is their only like true. I think Demo's done good, but I definitely, you know what I mean. I feel like if they can keep Ward, they would definitely want to. I just didn't know exactly how the contract stuff works. But I think if he has 2 void years, then like they should be under control if they want to extend him versus like trade him or whatever. I don't think he has the ability, much like Brandon Ayuk can't like choose to go to another team if he wanted to right now. I don't think if he's under contract, I don't think he can like be like, I demand to go somewhere else, you know.
Yeah, I think they would try to extend him this offseason or this off season
I
going
was
into camp.
thinking for some reason that he was going to be a free agent, and in that case, I was like, maybe they should, you know, go after a cornerback. But right now, it feels like unless those top 3 guys that you mentioned get pushed down to the very bottom, that they won't do that.
Yeah, so first round strategy should be going best player available depending on who's there. In my opinion, I'm still going O line. I think the
I think they should.
O line is the best player available in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
unless it's a few players, for example, if Kool-Aid McKinstry's there, Adonai Mitchell's
exactly.
there. Kool-Aid McKinstry's the cornerback out of Alabama, which I think he'd be the only one that I could see falling out of the top 3 corners.
I like that
Because of
his
his
name
foot
is
injury.
Kool-Aid.
His name is his freaking number 1 overall pick just off his name. His name's amazing. But just because of like the foot injury that he had, I could see him falling, like teams being scared to take him. But he's phenomenal in press, man. I think he's the cornerback 1 on my board, but I know a lot of
Was
teams don't
he
use
you
him
were
that way.
talking about him with Harp, the JP Harp guy, right? Didn't he say that those foot injuries can end up lingering and like
No,
changing
he was
stuff?
we were
Or was that
talking
someone
about
else?
the core surgery that
Oh
Kittle
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Charvarius Ward got.
There we go.
He said he had a
Very,
similar surgery, and after
very
that
true.
he never bounced back the same. Like he was never the same player ever again. He was like,
Well,
but
I think
everyone
that
recovers the same. So he had that in a core injury in college, and after that he's like, I wasn't the same player. I didn't have the burst I did when I was going crazy. Well, he didn't say it, but he didn't have the same burst when he was going
it's
crazy.
also crazy. Like we never know what these players are going through. I don't think either of us knew that. I knew Ward had. I thought Ward had like a groin thing, and he had a foot thing to start the season. But I had no idea that I knew Kittle had a shoulder thing that he's played through for a couple of years, but I didn't know that either of them were going to need core surgery. I know that Ward ended up posting about it, but then I didn't even hear about Kittle until, wasn't it John Lynch that said that they had both gone through that?
Yeah, so John Lynch is the one who said it, and I know, looking at things, the way everything works based off of what Jay Harp said, like a groin, because his was a groin. He goes, that's considered core. He goes, so I don't know
Oh,
what
okay,
they
okay,
had. He
okay,
goes, like,
okay.
at least when he had the surgery, that the specialist considered that groin core. I don't know how that works. I think that's part of your legs. I'm not a doctor. I don't know that. So I was confused. But he was like, yeah, that's considered the core, like based off of the surgeons and stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting. But round one strategy, go best player available. If the Niners truly view, like, I don't want them to reach. If you have a second round grade that's like a 50 round, pick 50 on an offensive lineman, don't reach for him at 31. Like, if you have 40 from 30 to 41 on him, that's not a reach, in my opinion, because you have to trade all the way back up to come get him. So I think it'd be perfect pick. But it all just depends on, they could truly go receiver if Adonai Mitchell's there, and I know Kyle likes him. Kyle's talked about his Texas receivers, talks about him. The only weakness that he has is his run after the catch ability. But he's a
Which is
phenomenal
kind of
receiver.
important for the 49ers, but they have so many guys that excel at that. Maybe they'd be interested in bringing a guy with a different skill set to open up their offense more.
Imagine a 6'3" guy who has 4.34 speed, opposite of Brandon Ayuk.
So fast.
He has great feet, great route running. He has
I feel like these wide receivers get faster every single draft.
Oh, absolutely. He's every year they get better and better because of I tend to think is because of 7-on-7. These college receivers, and so corners and receivers are getting better because of 7-on-7. They're going to good program 7-on-7 programs. They're learning how to truly run routes, how to truly recognize, just understand coverages. Like, for example, Croc over there, what he's doing with his Elevate program
Yeah,
of
yeah,
7-on-7. He's going, and they're not just doing anything. Like, they're truly running coverages. They're truly running routes. They're being taught how to play man coverage. They're being taught how to play zone. Being taught how to actually attack the blind spots as a receiver. So, like, they're truly understanding the concepts of the positions. And I think as they get to the next level at college, they're going to these really good schools, and they're going to good coaches, and they're being continue to being taught. So I think that's why we're seeing
they're like
receiver levels just
optimizing their skill
elevate.
set
Yeah,
way
like
more. Yeah.
it's phenomenal to see, like, the young receivers grow. So I'm excited to continue to see that portion of everything.
Can I ask you before, because I know you
No,
I know you have to take off really quickly, but they did have a rule change with the returners. And I was wondering, do you think like it would be smart for the 49ers to draft a guy who can more specialize at that position and take over that Ray McLeod role, and maybe turn their special teams, which I feel like under Kyle Shanahan has either been a net negative or neutral at best. It's never been like a positive, but maybe use the rule change as a way to um, get a guy back there that specializes in that. Or if they don't draft a guy, would it be smart to now start using Debo Samuel or Jordan Mason, who's a guy we've seen be able to, break tackles and hit and keep running if they're not going to freaking ever use him at running back, maybe put him back there. Do you think that they'll make changes to the special teams in that way and try to optimize this rule change? Or do you think they're just going to try to minimize risk and not really do much,
I think
not
they should.
prioritize that position?
I think they should, because it's more like a regular football play now. It's not like a kickoff where high level impact's gonna happen. And we saw this in the XFL when they did it. Shout out to the XFL for giving the NFL
Testing it?
the idea, pretty much testing it and letting the NFL look at it. So you could put Debo back there because he could break off a long run. I know
Yeah.
some people think he
Plus
could.
it's supposed to be like a safer play now, right? Like I feel like the reason that prior that teams didn't like to put their star, wide receivers back there is because it was a more dangerous play. But supposedly, I don't know. I don't take much into these like morning shows, but I was at a restaurant and I saw like ESPN was on and they were showing all these graphics about how it's supposed to lead to like so many more touchdowns now and returns and supposed to be like 35% more safe than it used to be and all this stuff. So I was like, oh, well, if that's true, are they going to try to utilize that more? But I don't know.
I mean, they should. So like it allows you to, for example, like I saw some people say Debo will return some kicks off of it. Man, Debo has like the breakaway speed and everything, but he doesn't have the endurance to like return a kick that far. Like, and I'm not trying to be a jerk
I don't
about it.
know.
Like, I don't have the endurance to run 100 yards either. Like,
they're doing that. They're doing that receiver show. Debo and Kittle both signed up for it, so maybe
but I thought
Debo
that's
will be like
dropping.
in way better shape now
I thought
because
that was
he'll.
dropping
Oh,
coming
is it
up like
dropping?
soon. Yeah, I thought
Oh,
they
I
followed
thought they
him.
were like filming it right now, but they filmed it prior.
I
Damn.
thought it was filmed this this season.
Oh, I thought it was gonna like push them to like train
No.
extra hard this
No,
offseason.
that's why you thought Debo was actually training? You're like, "Oh, well, he's training right now. He's obviously on a Netflix." I'm pretty sure it drops, this coming, like, in this season because it was recorded for the 2023-2024 season. I don't know when it's supposed to be it's coming soon.
Okay. Everyone, make sure to get their factual information for Marco. I'm just here for the fun
The
of it.
reason why I know that is because I was super excited when I saw it. So my wife actually, like, it was like, "Hey, did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Why is Kittle on there?" It's like, why like, he's a tight end. Like, why is he's not a receiver?
I
Like,
know.
so I thought that was
I feel like maybe like ball catcher is like a bad name, you know. So they're
pause.
sorry, so I didn't mean it like that. I just pass
Like,
catcher, whatever.
they're ball catchers. That's crazy.
But everyone, please make sure to like and subscribe to Clutch Team Sports. Marco, I always have a great time on these Friday shows. I'm glad that we were able to get it done today with all the stuff that was going on. And everyone, make sure to like and subscribe to Marco's channel also because he's working extra hard today. So he deserves some extra subscribers for that. And then make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel